All right, everyone. Today, I really want to zero in on one specific tip that not only saves time, but helps you really stay a little bit more organized. Now, be honest. How many notebooks do you currently have that you alternate between for taking notes, jotting things down, etc., throughout the day? Like, take a minute and really think about that. One client of mine finally openly shared the other day that she has seven. Like she dug up seven given notebooks, journal like type things that she keeps notes in going. She has one in her purse, one in her car, one by the phone, one in her desk. I forget where, one up at her bedroom. I forget where they all were. And she was sharing frustration because she's like, oh, yeah, I forgot all about it because I wrote it down in, that notebook and then I couldn't find it and didn't know where those notes were. So today I want to tell you exactly how I use one and only one notebook for everything, but how I do it in a way that things don't just get written down and then forgotten about. Now, I do want to give a little caveat here. Right now in my stage of life, I have one notebook. When I was working in a corporate setting, I had a notebook at work and then I had my home notebook. But my life was very separated. When I was at work, I was at work in the office. When I was at home, I wasn't in the office. So you may need two, that may work for you, but I really don't see the need to have more than two. Um, and I've gone through many flavors and stages of this, and I guarantee you this one notebook principle works really well if you have the follow-up process that I'm going to talk about. So another client of mine also shared she runs two different businesses. So she was doing a notebook for each business, but then she was, oh, I didn't have that one with me. So here is why this one notebook principle works so well. So if you're looking at the video right now, you'll see this is the one I'm currently working in. My daughter put that sticker on it that says best mom ever. And I just always have this one notebook. And as I go through the course of my day, if I have an idea as I'm sitting at my desk, it will either go on my master backlog, which I keep in Trello, or I draw stuff out in that notebook. If I'm listening to a training call for any of the programs I'm in, I'm taking notes in that notebook. If I am, listening to a podcast and I want to take notes on that, anything and everything goes in that notebook all week long. And I have two markers in the notebook. One marker is just what page I'm currently, on in the notebook. And then the second marker is where I mark what I've processed. Now, what does that mean? Here is the second part of what makes this one notebook thing work so well. Every single week, I alternate depending upon what season we're in terms of like school or summer mode. I either process my notebook on Fridays or I process it over the weekend. And I have a client right now who's processing hers on Monday morning. She loves getting a start of her week that way. So again, there's no one right day to do this, but the point is every week I then go to that marker, which for me with this book is a cute little paper clip that shows at what point I've processed up to. So that's showing me kind of the start of my week. And then I review everything I've written down in that notebook for the week. And as I'm reviewing it, I am asking myself, what actions do I need to take from this? So usually it results in one of three things. Sometimes I read back through it and go, okay, like it seemed interesting at the moment, but now as I'm sit here looking at that, I can just let that go. So sometimes like I literally do nothing with it because I realize that's not something I need to take action on or have a follow-up or whatever. The second thing that can happen is I add tasks onto my master backlog of things that I want to find and prioritize the time to do. Now that in and amongst itself is a whole separate training. I spend an entire module in it inside my program. We cover it inside the top boot camp. But I do have a one central repository for all the ideas and things that I want to do. So sometimes it comes out of the notebook and gets added to that. And then the third thing is sometimes it comes out of the notebook and it gets written up in like a Google Doc because, particularly around business, maybe I've just listened to this incredible training and I've taken a whole bunch of notes and I know, okay, I'm not ready to take action on it today, but when I am, I want to be able to have my notes clearly thought out. Almost thinking about it like back in college, I kind of did that same process. I would go review my notes and then rewrite them in a way that then when I went back to go study, they made sense and it was logical. So oftentimes I will then be writing transcribing it into almost a how to or really cleaning up my notes that then that Google Doc is sitting out there in my file for whichever business it's related to. And sometimes it's a combination of the both. So I may be putting an idea on my master backlog and then writing a Google Doc with all the details and linking the two together. But then at the end of that week, or whenever I'm processing those, I then take that marker and I move it now to the start of the fresh week. So that way I know I'm not stuck in that place of going, where did I write that down? Which notebook is it in? You're flipping through notebooks going, God, what month was that even in? Can I find it? And the beautiful thing is when you process your notes every week like this, I know for me, sometimes as I jot things down, if I wait too long to go back and look at it, I'll be staring at my notes. And I'm like, what the heck was I even writing? I don't even remember. So because I'm doing this every single week, it keeps things fresh in my mind and it allows me to rethink through it that second time because that's, particularly if I'm in a learning mode, that's really when things sink in well for me. Then at the end of this notebook's journey, when it's full, now I know some people have a really hard time letting go of notebooks. I will keep this one and then start my new one. But as soon as my new one is full, then this old one gets tossed because I've already said everything in here I've now captured in some way, shape, or form that I can go access and find easily. So I will always have just the last notebook's worth. I'll keep that one when I start a new one, but I only have one full one ever still saved. Now, what gets hard with this is, again, I know if you're like me, I love little notebooks. I love little journals. I love great sayings on them, all of that. I get gifted a lot of, notebooks and journals through different programs that I'm in. So I've got a big stash of them. But I treat myself to say if there isn't one in there that I absolutely love, I will go find one, usually finding them for $6 or $7 that inspires me, that I enjoy seeing. And then I know I usually work through a notebook in just a few months. I take a lot of notes. I do a lot of self-development and learning. I know I'll get to treat myself to a new one as soon as that one is full. So if you currently have gobs of notebooks all over the place, I would encourage you to embrace this and try it for just 1 month. Say for 1 month, I'm going to work out of just one and one only notebook. It's where all my thoughts, ideas. Now, this is not a journal. A journal is something different. If you're sitting down and doing mindful journaling, that's separate. This is truly a notebook for taking notes, things you want to take action on, learn, etc. And then set a reminder for yourself to process those once a week. And I would love to hear how that goes for you and how different it feels for you to actually make that subtle shift. Because I think that you will find not only is it a heck of a lot easier to remember where everything is, but that act of processing it and getting everything where it needs to go is what really helps you when you're sitting down to do your weekly planning and you're doing your prioritization work, because things get thought through and processed very intentionally. So let me know if you are going to embrace the one, I'll call it the one notebook challenge. And hey, if you're so inspired, take a picture of the notebook that you are going to be using and tag me over on social media at Megan Sumrell. I would love to see what one notebook you are going to be embracing.